Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take source material, could be an engineering manual, economic data, or, well, today, a detailed fitness regimen, and we find the hidden architecture.
Right.
We're not just reading a list of movements. We are dissecting the logic, the strategy that makes the whole structure work.
And that is absolutely our mission today. We are peeling back the layers on a very specific program. It's a 20 to 25-minute home workout called Day 18 Core Strength plus Ab Sculpt.
Okay.
And for you, the listener, who is always trying to balance speed with, effectiveness, this routine is just a perfect case study.
No equipment, right.
Zero equipment. And yet it claims to deliver a full spectrum core workout. We're talking abs, obliques, stability, and the lower back.
See, that promise of a full spectrum attack, that's what gets my attention. Because so many people just default to volume, endless crunches, and they totally neglect how complex the core actually is. This source material is basically handing us a blueprint.
It's a blueprint for functional movement. Okay, so let's unpack this right away. The routine explicitly targets both the front, the anterior chain.
The sculpted abs we all see.
Right, but also the posterior chain, the lower back. And that right there is the key insight we have to chase.
Why is that so critical?
Because the core is not just the six-pack. It's a three-dimensional cylinder. Think of it like a muscular corset that stabilizes your entire spine.
Okay.
If you only strengthen the front, you create this muscular imbalance, and that eventually just ruins your posture and your spinal health.
So we're looking for efficiency, but also balance. We want to see how this 25-minute design builds that 360-degree support system.
Precisely. We need to look at the exercise selection, sure, but even more important is the sequencing, how they move from one pattern to the next to get the most activation with the least strain.
Well, the sequence steers, as it should, with something that's crucial but almost universally ignored.
The warm-up.
The 3-minute warm-up. It's the foundation, and I swear most people just fly right past it.
And that rush is so detrimental. You have to think of the warm-up not as calorie burning time, but as preparation. Preparation for stability and range of motion.
Let's break it down.
We can. The movements here are ordered with surgical precision to wake up the nervous system and mobilize the spine safely.
They start with 30 seconds of torso twists.
That's a very gentle introduction to rotation. The main workout later on has dynamic twisting, like the bicycle crunch. You wouldn't throw cold engine straight into top gear,
Good analogy.
This just preloads the spine for what's coming.
Then immediately after, 30 seconds of cat-cow.
So now we shift from rotation to sagittal plane mobility, spinal flexion and extension.
Moving the back up and down.
Exactly. After a day of sitting, the spine is often really compressed. Cat-cow just gently wakes up the vertebrae, gets fluid moving, and it signals to those deep little spinal stabilizers that, hey, you're about to be called on.
So you're creating safe movement before you lock into a hard static hold.
You got it.
Okay, after that mobility work, they bring in something a bit more dynamic. Standing knee to elbow for 30 seconds.
Now we're linking systems. This is a dynamic cross-body move.
Yeah.
I mean, you're engaging the diagonal connections between your shoulder and the opposite hip.
So it's like a standing, easier version of a bicycle crunch.
It is. It's preparatory work. It's teaching your body coordination across the midline.
Then we get 30 seconds of hip circles. Why are the hips so important in a core routine?
Oh, they're completely linked. I mean, the hip complex is the engine for almost all movement. By opening up the hip joints, you're making sure the deep flexors and extensors, the psoas and glutes, are primed.
And if they're not?
If your hips are restricted, an exercise like leg raises becomes all hip flexor. The lower abs do almost nothing. So this little move ensures the lower core can actually fire properly later.
And to finish the prep phase, 1 minute of march in place.
Simple general activation. It gets the heart rate up a little, and it's a clear signal to the body that the real work is about to begin.
So the takeaway for the listener is clear.
Yeah. If you skip these 3 minutes, you're asking your muscles to do complex stabilization work while they're still tight and, not really talking to the nervous system properly. You undermine the whole workout just to save 180 seconds.
Okay, so the system is primed. Now we get into the meat of it, the core strength circuit. The structure here is intense. 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, 5 exercises, 3 full rounds.
And right away, we have to look at that ratio, 40-20.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is 40 seconds of work with only 20 seconds of rest actually optimal for strength? Or is this more about endurance?
That's an excellent question. If this were a maximal strength routine, for lifting heavy, We'd want much longer rests, maybe a 1:3 or 1:4 work-to-rest ratio.
To let the nervous system fully recover.
Exactly. But this is a body weight routine. The goal is muscle endurance and definition. So that 40.2 ratio is perfect. It keeps the heart rate up, it prevents full recovery, and it maintains tension on the muscles.
Time under tension.
That's what leads to that sculpted look the title promises.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's dissect the 5 movements. They're clearly designed to hit that core cylinder from every angle.
Starting with the absolute bedrock of stability.
The plank.
Of course. They start here because the plank is the ultimate anti-movement exercise. It's not about generating force, it's about resisting it. Specifically, it trains anti-extension.
Preventing your spine from sag.
Right. It forces you to recruit your transverse abdominis, that's your deep internal wheat belt, to create pressure and lock everything down.
So the goal isn't just to survive for 40 seconds.
No. The goal is to maintain that rigid structure. The most common failure point is the hips dropping. The second that happens, your lower back takes over and all the deep core work is gone.
So you have to stay braced.
You have to brace. That's the foundation.
Okay, so once that stability is set, they immediately shift to a much more complex pattern.
Rotation. Which brings us to bicycle crunches.
This hits the obliques, obviously, but it's also a big dynamic move while the core is already getting tired from the plank.
Exactly. And the bicycle crunch is a fantastic compound rotational movement. It engages the external oblique on one side and the internal oblique on the opposite side at the same time.
Functionally, that's how you throw a ball or sprint.
It's a primary driver of rotational strength. But the challenge, and we have to address this, is making sure it's a true rotation of your chest, not just flapping your elbows to your knees.
Ah, the classic mistake.
The mistake is just moving your limbs. The insight is to think about peeling your shoulder blade off the floor and actively twisting your rib cage toward your opposite hip. If you're just pulling on your head, you're missing the entire point.
Got it. Next up, the focus shifts down to the other end of the cylinder, leg raises. The classic and often most frustrating lower ab move.
And so often done wrong. Look, the leg raise is incredibly effective for the lowest fibers of your abs, but the technical challenge is what we call hip flexor dominance.
Meaning your hip muscles take over the work.
They hijack the movement. Your hip flexors are powerful and they want to do the job. So how do you make sure the abs are working and you're not just straining your back?
That's the question.
The key is posterior pelvic tilt. Before your legs even move, you have to consciously flatten the small of your back against the floor.
Anchor it down.
You anchor it. If your back arches off the ground at all, the hip flexors have won. You have to prioritize control over how low your legs go.
Okay, moving back to the sides, we have heel touches.
This is lateral flexion, bending sideways. It's different from the rotation of the bicycle crunch. This targets the obliques and a deep muscle called the QL more directly in that side bending motion. It really helps shape and stabilize the waistline.
It's a simpler move.
It is. But after the intensity of the plank and leg raises, those side muscles are ready for some focused work.
This sequencing really is impressive. We've hit anti-extension, rotation, lower hip flexion, lateral flexion. But the real genius, like you said earlier, is the final exercise in the circuit.
The Superman hold.
This feels like the missing piece in so many ab workouts.
It is the mandatory inclusion. This is what separates a balanced routine from a superficial one. The Superman trains the entire posterior chain, your back, your glutes, all acting as spinal stabilizers.
So it prevents you from becoming all front heavy.
It prevents that anterior dominant imbalance, yes. It trains anti-flexion. You're holding a neutral spine against gravity.
What's the key technical cue here?
The goal is length, not height. People try to lift their arms and legs way too high and just end up compressing their lower back. You want to feel a gentle contraction, keeping your gaze down, maintaining a long spine for the full 40 seconds.
So to sum up this circuit, plank for stability, bicycles for rotation, leg raises for lower abs, heel touches for the sides, and the Superman for the back. It's a full 360-degree attack.
It is comprehensive. And then just when those 3 rounds are done and the muscles are truly tired, they transition you immediately into a pure metabolic challenge.
Which brings us to the abs power finisher. This is where the sculpting and endurance part really kicks in. The structure tells you everything. 2 rounds, 30 seconds per exercise, and this is crucial, no rest between them.
That lack of rest is the signature of an endurance push. The strength phase is over. Now it's about maximizing muscle fatigue and creating a huge metabolic demand.
So you're forcing the muscles to work past that initial burn.
You're forcing recruitment of more muscle fibers and challenging their ability to clear out waste products.
Ah.
That's what creates that deep final burn and contributes to definition.
Let's look at the 3 movements. First, toe touch crunches.
A high-rep, targeted flexion move. The goal is simple. Keep the upper abs under continuous, exhausting tension. You're just trying to achieve maximum contraction with every single rep.
And then boom, straight into the next one. Flutter kicks, no break.
And this is a fantastic way to hit the lower core again, but with a totally different challenge. It shifts from strength to sustained control under rapid movement.
Your core has to stabilize your pelvis while your legs are going crazy.
It's a pure endurance test. If you cheat, your lower back will lift off the floor. That's the sign your lower abs have completely fatigued out.
And the final move brings it all home. Blank jacks.
It brings everything full circle. It takes the stability you built in the plank and adds high-impact, rapid movement. Your body is fighting to stay neutral while your legs are jumping in and out.
So it's cardio meets core stability.
It's an incredibly high-demand task, especially at the very end of the workout.
So what this means for you, the listener, is that this finisher isn't about building new strength. It's about emptying the tank.
Exactly. It's the polish on the foundation they just laid. But the job isn't done. The best programs always integrate a full recovery strategy.
And skipping the cool down is like...
It's like driving a race car at top speed and then just leaving it on the track without cooling the engine.
Okay, so that brings us to the essential recovery phase, the 3-minute cool down. You're saying this is non-negotiable?
Absolutely not. Not for anyone who's serious about long-term progress.
We're looking to shift from that high-intensity fight-or-flight state back to the parasympathetic rest and digest system. And the stretches are very specific. It starts with 30 seconds of the Cobra stretch.
The Cobra is critical here. After a whole session of compressing and folding the abdomen with all the crunches and leg raises, you desperately need to counter-stretch the abs.
Open everything back up.
The Cobra gently elongates those muscles, improves blood flow, and minimizes that shortening and tightening that intense work can cause. It's relief.
Then the routine shifts to 30 seconds of child's pose.
This provides immediate release for the other side, the posterior chain. After the Supermans and the planks, child's pose gently stretches the lower back muscles and the hips. It just signals relaxation.
Next, they specifically target the obliques with a standing side stretch, 30 seconds on each side.
Perfect sequencing. We spend a lot of time working the sides with bicycle crunches and heel touches. If you don't stretch them, you'll compromise your flexibility. This just restores length to those muscle fibers.
And finally, a full minute of deep breathing.
This is the neurological part of the cool down. It lowers your heart rate, it tells your nervous system the threat is over, and it allows your body to prioritize oxygen for recovery.
Which raises that final question for the listener. How does ignoring these last 3 minutes actually compromise your future progress?
Well, when your muscles are intensely fatigued, they get inflamed and shortened. If you skip the cool down, you're basically locking that tightness in for your next session.
So you start the next workout at a disadvantage.
A huge disadvantage. That tightness forces you to use poor form to compensate with other muscles. You lose efficiency, you increase your risk of strain, and you slow down your recovery. It makes the previous 20 minutes less effective in the long run.
That is just a master class in fitness architecture. We've gone from precise preparation to balanced strength into pure endurance and finally methodical recovery, all in under 25 minutes with no equipment.
And the fundamental takeaway, it really just remains. An effective routine is defined by its structure and its comprehensive coverage, not just how hard the individual exercises feel.
So considering the highly structured flow of this routine, the prep, the execution, the fatigue push, and the recovery, we want you to think about this. What other areas of your life or your fitness regimen could benefit from this level of organized, full-spectrum attention?
Where are you skipping the warm-up, or neglecting the posterior chain, or just rushing the cool down?
What essential structure are you currently missing? That's something to consider until the next deep dive.